This is a 1982 Honda GL500 Silverwing transformed from a classic touring bike into a modern cafe racer slash street fighter by two first-time builders working out of a home garage. This build was a collaboration between myself, I'm 54, and Steven, who is 17. Our paths crossed a few years back. Steven is the owner-operator of a bicycle repair shop here in town and fixed two of my Treks like a true professional. Highly skilled, super motivated, and very intelligent. With a future so bright, he must wear Prada aviator shades. As fate would have it, we trained at the same gym and started hitting up sets together. Soon after, we teamed up on some projects. Over the winter, we bought, repaired, and sold a few motorcycles. That's when we discovered the CX500s and the GL500s, and that they were being built into cafe racers because of their reliability and bulletproof platform. At that point, we knew we had to build one ourselves. We found this donor bike, a well-maintained, recently serviced, low-mile platform. It only had around 14,000 miles, and it came with the original service manual. We informed the seller what our intentions were to build a cafe racer, and he thought that was a super awesome concept. He was supportive of our project and hooked us up with a price that got the build up and running. The initial low cost was a catalyst, as Steven and I set some initial parameters. First was a budget of $2,500. The second was a 3-month build time. And the third, the best retro cafe builds have the front end redone, which is extremely difficult, as you can see, was a front end swap. As we both agreed, to build a bike with superior handling, the suspension needed upgrading. Even though the research had shown us it's a high degree of difficulty in removing the front forks and the entire front end. We came in just around $3,000, and it took us just about 4 months as we had other projects and couldn't focus on this build 100%. As God's providence would have it, our buddy at the gym, Josh, caught wind of our project, and he was parting out his '06 Honda CBR 600RR. Josh was down to support our build and hooked us up with the solid bro price on the inverted front forks, the rim, tire, calipers, rotor, and fender. I will say, without the phenomenal purchase price of the donor bike and the great price on the front end, I don't feel we could have built this out of a cafe racer for $3,000. This cafe racer was created in a domestic garage with a very beginner set of tools, so no machine shop, no lathes, no welders or professional tools. One of the most challenging and I would say comprehensive aspects of the conception was the front end swap. Once the front forks, handlebars, cables, and the electronics are removed, it's a buzzsaw of challenges and problems to address and lots of riddles to solve. That's one of the reasons we're taking the time to make this video, is to show what two novice builders with a vision can create on a limited budget and share what parts and vendors we utilized in the build. Because besides the actual build time, a lot of bandwidth was absorbed by investigation. To be honest, I wish a video like ours was available, as it would have greatly reduced the research time going into finding all the parts and solving all the problems. We'd like to give a big shout out and a huge thanks to All Balls Racing for their front end conversion kit. A truly awesome company offering a wide range of conversion kits for almost any combination of frame and fork. Their conversion kit made swapping out the front forks the easiest part of the front end build, if I can use the word easy in the swap. Very little fabrication was required. A bit of grinding on the original handlebar frame guides, some machine pressing of the lower race onto the 600RR fork stem. Other than that, it was a straight and easy swap. And I'll tell you what, because of those bearings and the quality, I can take my hands off the clips at 60 miles an hour, and it steers straight as an arrow. To complete the front end, we used Venhill universal throttle cable kit. We got that on Amazon, believe it or not. I highly recommend them for the quality. They have a really heavy duty threaded cable, and it comes with all the accessories you're going to need to fabricate a perfect fit, because the original throttle cables are way too long once you put the new clips on. We sourced a Euro edition GL650 clutch cable out of the UK. It's significantly shorter but has the same mechanics. Fits seamlessly, and we found that one on eBay. I will say this, one point of contention on the build was the JW speaker LED headlight. When I discussed the cost, Steven was like, wait, what? How much are we going to spend? That's going to take a huge chunk of our budget. But I'll tell you what, after riding for over 30 years, I know how important it is to see at night and how important it is to be seen. We changed out the original lead acid battery to a lithium battery with the correct cold cranking amps to efficiently run the LED light. We swapped out the original regulator resonator with a 14.4 volt upgraded MOSFET plug-and-play regulator resonator. And we found that at murrayscarbs.com. We also bought clip-on high-flow AirPods and the rebuild kit for the dual carburetors. So I'll give a huge shout out to Murray's Carbs. Great company, and they offer a wide range of excellent, well-built, upgraded parts for these older restorations and projects. So if you're looking for something out of the box, hit them up. Great company. While at the back, I'll go over the rear suspension. We found a low-mile Honda, I think it was an 02 954 rear shock on eBay, and it came with the clevis still attached, and that's very important. You want to buy it with the clevis, and the clevis has a large stud on it. What we did was we cut off that stud from the clevis, and then the inner sleeve comes out of the top of the original shock, and so we took that inner sleeve and the clevis over to Archie's welding. We don't weld, and he welded the inner sleeve from the original shock onto the corner of the clevis, and that inner sleeve bolts right onto the mount for the original shock on the frame, and then the clevis bolts obviously onto the top of the shock. So it fits seamlessly. It was a little tough getting it in there, but a perfect fit. So that worked like a champ. We did remove the ProLink rear suspension. We had it sandblasted and applied some fresh paint. We replaced both of the frame bearings that hold the ProLink in and lubed and greased the entire suspension, so that was taken care of. I will say this, with the 954 rear shock, the Service ProLink suspension, the CBR 600 RR inverted shocks, this bike truly handles like a modern day sports bike. It really does. It corners like it's on rails. And with those huge disc brakes and calipers, it stops on a dime. It's a lot, it's a great bike to ride. Handles like a champ. and comes to a complete stop quick. To complete the back end of the bike, to not really having a machine shop and a tight budget, we were forced to pick and choose our battles. With that in mind, we decided to keep the original Comstock rear rim and brake setup. We felt it was a nod to the original heritage, design, and value while offering built-in reliability and durability, and it was just straightforward. So we decided to go with that. When it came to the exhaust, we chose to build a custom exhaust that maintained the original lines with some modifications. We did an exhaust collector chamber crossover delete, that big heavy exhaust thing that sat underneath the frame that switched over the exhaust. We had Mr. Mike at Easy Muffler, great place, awesome guy. Mike was super great over at Easy Muffler. He professionally built some exhaust extenders that stretched and connected the headers with the stock appearing but upgraded Delvik aftermarket straight pipes. To finish the exhaust, we went with top of the line ARTA, ARTA, titanium header wrap, and we did an exhaust manifold kit. So let's do a quick cold startup. And like I said, I still can't believe this bike came with the original factory service manual. And as it sits, this Cafe Racer is 100% street legal. So let's fire it up. To store the battery and all the electronics, we went with an under-seat battery box. Tony Casico over at cx500parts.com. He offers a wide variety of excellent parts for these cafe builds. And although the box was designed and built for a CX500 frame, with some fabrication, we got it to fit up and underneath the seat and hold everything. So that cleared up that problem. We chose not to cut the rear frame seat supports as to not compromise the structural integrity. Furthermore, it supported the vintage 1970s Honda CB360 Cafe seat that offers comfort and classic styling. So we just said, let's keep that all together. So no major cutting of the frame, just a little bit off the back. We set out to build a Cafe Racer with ergonomics, and I don't know if ergonomics is synonymous with Cafe Racers, but we wanted to build something that integrated comfort, style, and safety. We purposely set the clip-ons high on the forks to offer an aggressive sitting position, but something with rideability, comfort, and safety in mind. We mounted the mirrors on top of the forks, not on the back side of the handlebars. So a quick look left and a quick look right, and you can effortlessly see what's going on behind you. We didn't cut the rear frame, and that allowed us to keep the rear passenger foot pegs, and that offered a dual riding position, which I like. With those rear pegs, I can lay forward on the tank, which gives, the back a break from that constant bent over sitting position. And I believe this one-off design separates this build from most all the other cafe builds. And it just really makes it the type of motorcycle you can just not ride around town, but across city or across the state. And I believe that you could ride, or I could ride this motorcycle across the country without a problem. I don't think we'd call this a frame-off restoration, rather a frame-up, as everything was removed other than the motor. Once again, we were pressed for time, and the frame was in excellent condition and only needed light sanding and some painting. Everything's been serviced. New brakes, front and rear, fresh coolant, fresh semi-synthetic oil, fresh final drive oil, new spark plugs, gaskets everywhere, you name it, we've gone through it. One of the things we didn't do was paint the tank. Steven painted everything else for his first go around. But we really wanted to do a professional job with the tank. And our buddy Chris from the gym, everyone's at the gym, right? He works over at Single Source. And although he doesn't paint anymore, he did us a bro favor and painted it for us. And he hooked it up with that beautiful frost white. And then he put that purple pearl flake. I don't know if you can see it in the sunlight, but it's really beautiful. So a huge shout out to Single Source and Chris. They took great care of us. They really blended the paint perfectly for the rest of the bike and just did a superior job on the tank. So I will say, in closing, it's a fun bike to ride. I mean, it gets a lot of thumbs up and attention wherever it goes. People are always inquiring, what is that? What year is it? And they're just really curious to know what we did and what it was. And I think this project was more than building a bike. It was about a vision. It was about teamwork and proving that with creativity and determination, even novice builders can make something truly special. We built a cafe racer that's fun to ride and offers the reliability and durability that Hondas are known for. Well, thanks for watching. If you've enjoyed this build, please give us a thumbs up and subscribe for more.